The art of storytelling is being able to talk about what's important to your life in a narrative format, and it's actually culturally how we learn. So it's really important that you are a very good storyteller if you want to get people to, say, change the world. So my first piece of advice on good storytelling is that you understand what type of story that you need to tell. So a lot of times people just start telling a story, you're not really sure the purpose of the story, but sometimes we need to tell stories that are about the nature of our challenge. You know, what are we up against? Why do we need to act? Sometimes you need to talk about a visionary story. Where are we going? Other times you might talk about a performance story. You know, why are you the right person to be taking on this job? So the very first thing you need to do is to try and figure out what kind of story you're telling. Secondly, it's super important that you stick in the format. Storytelling has a very specific format, and if you get outside that format, then sometimes it's not really a story. It might actually turn out to be a lecture, which, you know, nobody really likes that. And then I think that third, you really need to be authentic in your storytelling. If you can't own your story, I joke, if you can't tell it in a character voice because you're just that into it, maybe that's not the right story for you to tell, because there's really nothing worse than stilted storytelling. Very first thing is it has to start somewhere. So there's not a huge backstory, you're not explaining all the characters, it has to start one day. It was a dark and stormy night. You need to start a story, so that's really important. And the second thing is you have to have some tension. You have to have something interesting happening. There has to be a conflict. There has to be something that you're gonna have resolved. Otherwise, it's not really a story, it's your recounting of maybe your day. Third is that it actually needs a really strong character. We need to follow somebody. We might love them, we might hate them, but we have to really be interested in what's happening to them. And if you're not, then you're not gonna be that interested in that story. For any stage of a business pitch, a venture, you're trying to get people to do something big, a story is actually what's going to motivate people. Stories are what capture people's imagination. It's what makes them believe something really needs to happen. It makes them angry. It makes them hopeful. It is stories at the end of the day that motivate people. So if you were trying to motivate people, which you are if you're trying to make the world a better place, then you better be a good storyteller.